Terri, I'm so excited to see you, even though I've only seen you probably a week ago. I just love being around your energy, and I know everyone else will too. So thank you for joining me.
Yes, it's a pleasure. Viv, you changed my life.
Well, I just want to get a sense, how much can you describe the difference of where you are in your life now than where you were when we first met?
Okay, so you and I are Paul and Silas, and we are, let's just say, in prison together. And through our worship and through our revelation and new understanding and illumination, the chains have fallen off of me.
Wow.
That's the difference. So before, what I thought was good and what I thought was the best that life could offer, I found out that I was selling myself short. I was living so far beneath my privilege. And because my boundaries were not in place, I wasn't able to voice what I really needed. I wasn't even able to recognize what was best for me. And so it was reflected in my decisions. It was reflected in the way that I lived my life. And now I'm really able to live out my values. And I'm so appreciative of that.
You were, and you had, I mean, not to go into your story, but you came from a really, quite a long history of abuse as well.
Yes. Yes. I mean, it literally started from the time I was a child in the crib. Unfortunately, my mom had issues with mental illness. She was declared unfit, and it just went from there. And each layer, each year, each move, each family that I stayed with layered on more and more and more. So.
And so can you describe how you felt and when we first met, what brought you to me, I guess?
I was ready for a change. I realized that I didn't want to go to my grave without making the full contribution that I'm supposed to make to this world. And there was no way I could make that contribution if I was carrying around so many weights, so many concerns, so much baggage, shame, guilt, fear, unnecessary overthinking. There was no way. So I needed to invest in myself and just drop the weights.
Yeah, and you've certainly done that. Were there any fears that you had when you first came to me? Because I know a lot of women, when they first come to me, are really frightened of that, because it's one thing to make the decision that I am ready to change, but then when you actually have to do it, it's out of your comfort zone. It's quite scary.
Honestly, Viv, I didn't have fear so much as I wanted to, but I was hesitant because I didn't know if I was physically and emotionally up to the task of facing it. It's one thing to recognize that you have some issues, but it's another thing to say, I'm ready to open up this thing, take the surgery, take the chemotherapy, deal with the ill feelings that are going to come to the surface, and deal with the people who I perceived as who betrayed my trust. So at the same time I was deciding to work with you, I had started writing a book. And I wrote that book about all of the abuse. So it was right there in front of me. So I had to handle it because I had uncovered it. So now what am I going to do with all this? How do I handle this? Do I address each individual person? Or how do I deal with it within myself? And so I was really ready.
Yeah, you really were. And you had some profound, I just remember the dramatic change in you just almost within weeks. It was like this person a butterfly just came out, and it was just so beautiful to watch. What do you think has been the greatest insights and change for you? Did you feel
the greatest, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Did you also feel what I was seeing? That this incredible transformation.
I felt like layers and layers of muck was being washed off of me. I felt like I was being baptized, but not baptized into a religion or baptized into a system of belief, but becoming the person that I really am inside. Because I've always been loving and caring and giving to other people, but I didn't do it for myself. So this was a chance for me to put my own self as a priority.
And what was the greatest insight?
Good.
what was the greatest insight? Sorry, I keep interrupting you.
The greatest insight was that I needed to love myself. I really needed to see myself for who I am, know my worth, and celebrate myself, celebrate my worth, and really put myself first. I had not been putting myself first in any relationship, in any situation. You know, I was always putting myself last. I didn't believe that I was worthy. Now I can see I didn't believe I was worthy of love, so I was accepting and drawing people to me to continually reconfirm my worthlessness.
Mm. And part of the program is we have weekly group calls. And how were they for you? Because I know that you then became, as you transformed, you started really inspiring the new women who were coming in. And it was just such a great process.
Yeah, the group calls were key because although working with you is like magic, being with the other ladies was like being in a boat. I thought of it as we're all in a boat and we're adrift and we're heading toward the Bermuda Triangle and we all have to get on the same page. And and Viv is saying row, and then we row. And then Viv says row, and then we row. And so when I see somebody faltering, getting weak, being afraid, saying, oh no, I'm giving up. No, I have to say no, because we're all in the same boat. We have to make this together. We're gonna all go together or we're gonna all sink together. We need everybody's strength to row the boat. So you can't jump out and drown because I need you. And so that was part of it. Part of it wasn't groupthink. It wasn't a symbiotic relationship. It was truly a sisterhood.
Mm. That was beautiful. And what I loved about you in the group was all those gorgeous analogies. It was like the ministry of Terri, and we would all be going, Terri's lifting us up. It's just...
Yeah, but you were the helium, though. You were the helium in the balloon. And that's the part about it, is having somebody who has already been on the journey. And although we can't see the path, we can't see the bridge because it's going through cloudy mist. And there's a volcano under us, and there's craggly rocks, and there's pterodactyls flying around, snatching people. You're saying, stay with the group, stay together, stay on the path, focus. And we hear your voice. And so each person is depending on the person in front of them. You're putting your hand on the shoulder of the person in front of you, and you're following step by step. So you were truly, it was your voice that helped us step by step.
I think my voice might be stuck in quite a lot of women's heads now, because I know all the people who've graduated say when they go on their first date after recovering from their abusive relationship, they go, you were in my head the whole date. So I guess the question I would then ask is, apart from the group, in what ways do you think working together with me has impacted your life?
Viv, you're like the big sister I never had, you know, but not the kind of big sister who enjoys watching you fail because there's any kind of cattiness between us. You're the kind of big sister that says, I'm going to show you how to do it. And you say, use the little fork is the salad fork. You know, I mean, you take us to the very beginning, the step by step, you know, and then you take us step by step and you let us practice. We have the modules, and the modules are really key because it makes you do the self work. You can listen to Viv all day. You can talk to the girls in the group all day, but if you don't do your homework, you're not going to pass the test. And the test is not in class. The test is in the real world, where you have to interact with people, where you have to define your boundaries and then stand on those boundaries and say no, and you have to call people on it. So it all works together. It all works together.
And how has it changed your life? Like, can you describe, can you describe where you are now? Because I see a completely different time.
I have confidence. I'm actually ready to start dating, but I'm not desperate to start dating. So what I'm doing now literally is I have gone back to my family members who I know have had sexual abuse, domestic violence, and whatever. And I'm encouraging them. And I'm allowing them to talk to me. And I haven't even initiated the conversations. I prayed and I asked God, and He has sent them. They initiate conversations with me, told me things that happened in their past. And then I talked to them and worked through it with them. And so what I believe is happening is the ministry that God called me to has begun. and it's begun in my own family, and then it's going to spread out, and it's going to spread out. And as I spread out and I'm focused on what I love doing, what I've been gifted and empowered to do, that's when I'm going to meet my mate. But in the meantime, if I meet somebody, I'm not afraid to engage. I'm going to practice. I'm going to practice on as anybody who comes, you know, and I'll immediately be able to recognize the red flags, call them out and say, look, this is not going to work, and just cut it off next, you know. But while I'm with the person, I will still try to encourage them and help them on their journey. I'm just not going to get trapped into a cycle of ignoring red flags and having my boundaries tested and pushed, you know.
What you said there is so relevant, because what I see in you is you've become, your self-esteem has become so much higher. Your boundaries are great. But the most important part is when we change us, we change everything else around us. Yeah. And so people, I've had many women who've come through the program and said, I've not told anyone I've done it, but they've all noticed there's massive difference in me. And so you lead by example. If you can change you, then you can heal your family. You can heal your children. You can heal.
Yes. You're saying it, Viv. That's where I am right now. The thing that you have done for me has been a catalyst. And now I'm carrying the light and I'm able to share it. And people who know my story, like my family, now they can understand why I made some of the decisions that I made, and I'm able to talk about it. And so now it's just increased my ability to share my, what I would call my testimony. Yeah. It makes it more effective.
And you've become really passionate now about shining your light on the world with what you're doing next. Tell us all about your Soulful Soirees. I love this movie.
Soulful Soirees is an opportunity for iron to sharpen iron. I'm going to bring together people from different areas and walks of life, different talents. And it's going to be like a dinner party, but it'll be virtual at first, sort of like the Red Table Talk, but it's called Soulful Soiree. So the whole purpose is to grow on the inside, not to discuss politics and art and all that stuff, but to do some soul work and to come out a better person and to discover what your gifts are and what your passions are and live your life to the fullest. So when you go to your grave, you can go empty, without fear, without reservation. And it's getting there. It's starting. It's starting with my family, just with Zoom calls and online, and then it's going to spread, and then it's going to spread, and then it's going to spread.
That sounds beautiful. And you're going to do have wonderful food and enrich.
Oh, absolutely. The end goal is to be able to have a dinner party for 6, rent a beach house, hire the chef to prepare something fabulous, and do workshops. And everyone brings something, a poem, a craft, a story, a funny story, a joke, or something. So everybody brings something like a stone soup, have a masseuse come. You know, you can do any number of things depending on who the guests are. So I think it's going to be I know it's going to be a wonderful experience.
I can't wait for that day when I'm sitting at that table with you.
Oh, you're going to be there.
I really can't wait for that, because I've absolutely loved having that time together. And of course, now you finish, you're never going to get rid of me, because you're in my alumni group, in that beautiful community as well. So I'm so excited about that. But I want to ask you, you know, what would you tell anyone, because it is a scary step to, as you say, make that choice, look deep into your soul. What would you tell anyone who's sitting on the fence and a little bit scared or unsure about taking that step of coming to work with me?
You're worth it. Every individual woman who needs to make a change is worth it, and it's like dental care. It's critical. If you don't fix the rotten tooth, it's going to poison your bloodstream, which can damage your heart, which can shorten your life. If you don't get these inner issues resolved, you're not going to be able to fulfill your full destiny. You're going to be stuck in a hamster wheel over and over, repeating the same relationship with a different face over and over, or being afraid to date, or being bitter, or, you know, living in a bubble, afraid to engage with other people or stand up for your rights. So I would say to any woman who's having any type of emotional pain, any type of domestic violence, but this could even be used for just people who want to come out of their shell, discover who you are. You know, when you have that midlife crisis, it could be used for any number of things. Even a grieving parent could benefit from this type of a course. This type of a course could benefit anyone, because what you're doing is you're discovering who you are, what you believe in, and how you want to live. And then you create the life you want to live. I would not want to withhold this gift from anyone, because when you find something good, You want everyone to have part of it. You want everyone to benefit from it.
Yeah. And what do you think your life would be like if you hadn't have had the courage to take that step?
Oh gosh, I would have still been trying to read books and do YouTube and, you know, seek out this counselor and ask advice of friends. I would still be trying to heal. I mean, I would never give up on myself, but I would not have the tools. It's like trying to fix a car and you don't know how to fix a carburetor.
Yeah.
You take it to somebody else, they don't have the tool to fix the carburetor. So what are you going to do? Continue to tinker with the thing and the thing's not going to work. It's fruitless.
And yeah, and I always say to people, it's fine to do that, but it's almost like just putting band-aids on. And really what you've got to do is you've just got to rip it off and heal. Not to say that it's painful, because it was well, how would you describe your experience of going through this 2 months together?
Honestly, it was painful. It was like surgery and chemotherapy.
Oh God, don't scare people off.
No, but if you have cancer, you need that. You need the thing that's going to heal you. It's just like you have a baby that you love and you take them to get their shots. It's painful. But what is the consequence if you don't do it? They could become sick or be worse. Or like dental care. You have baby teeth and the child is afraid to let you pull it. If you don't pull it, what's going to happen? They're going to have how many rows of teeth?
Yeah.
And, you know, so it's something that's necessary and it has to be done. It's like bringing a baby into this world. It is painful to face the reality of where you have allowed yourself to be pushed and how far your boundaries have been pushed. But once you go through childbirth, you forget about that pain. And all you realize is, I have this beautiful child. So now my inner child is fully grown and able to communicate what I need and able to attain what I need and create the life that I want for myself.
So what have you noticed is different now that you are standing empowered and strong and your boundaries are solid? What has been the biggest impact, do you think? What are you noticing most?
When I wake up in the morning and I realize I get to live this great life, you know, I get to live this great life, and I get to have the benefit of all the work that I did, because you can accomplish things and get degrees and have great jobs and a fantastic resume, and you can have friends and you can all this stuff, but if you don't have peace, what do you really have? So now I have peace of mind, you know, in the inner part, the inner man, the inner person has been made whole. And all that time I spent in church and Bible studies and all this kind of stuff, and it talks about love God and love your neighbor, I missed the second part where it says love your neighbor as yourself. Yeah. I just didn't get that part. And so that's the part that you helped me get. And I needed it.
Amazing role model for your daughter and grandchildren. And
yes. I think they even noticed the difference. I think they even, I mean, the way that they interact with me now, the energy that I'm bringing to my space is different. It's more, I think there was always some light, but it was not as bright, not as clear, not as like luminescent or warm.
Well, you certainly brought your energy and your light and your warmth to the group, and you shone it onto me as well, and I've absolutely loved it, and I'm so glad you're now in my life forever, and I get to see watch you grow further and further and further, and I now count you as a friend, and I'm so honored that you put your trust in me, and we could do that together, have that experience together.
I mean, who knew? I could see an ad on Facebook with this woman with this British accent, and she's talking about, oh, you get life and this and that, and I'm like, let me check this out. But once I talked to you, I heard something in your voice that said, you can trust me. No, for real. You can really trust me because I know what I'm doing. It's like if you're going to pick a brain surgeon, you don't want to just get somebody that says, the cheapest one, I got a $99 special. No, you want somebody who has studied it, who knows how to do the surgery, who knows how to look for signs in the recovery to help you and tell you what exercise and what physical therapy regimen. And that's what you bring to the table, Viv. Just on the real, you know the science of it, the sociology of it, the physical feelings that a person would go through, the emotional side of it, you understand the process. And so that's why it works.
I think that the reason for that is because I've been through it. Yeah. I've been through it too. I've walked in your shoes, and I think that's what makes the difference. But thank you. That's really beautiful. Thank you for those kind words. I really appreciate it. And for your trust, because it did take a lot of trust. And once you, well, I think you really realized that once I grab someone's hand, I will not let them go, and I do not let you fail. Because it means a lot to me to see somebody come in, put their trust in me, and I want to see them heal and grow. So thank you for that.
It works both ways, Viv, because it's just like a person on the transplant list. The person that you're going to work with is also demonstrating that they're ready, that they're willing to work with the process. It takes both.
Yeah, and I learned from you. I learned, you lifted my soul as well, and I'm so grateful for that. So thank you very much. I'm sure you'll inspire other women, and I really hope that if anyone is feeling even the remote bit of fear or just, as Terri says, you are worth it. You deserve it. Yeah.
I'll see you in soulful soirees.
Yes, absolutely. I can't wait for that. All right, I'm going to be one of your first guests, I hope. Well, if you have a virtual one, I'm in.
We're going to start with the virtual. So, yeah, you will be one of the first people that knows about it and is able to partake, and it's like stone soup. So everyone brings something, and it gets full.
I love it. I'm not sure about stone soup. Is that an expression I've just never heard?
It's an American story about a boy who was hungry, and he wanted to make some soup. And so he called all the people in the village and said, let's make some soup. So he put a stone in. Somebody came and brought a carrot. Somebody brought a potato. Somebody brought an onion. Somebody brought water. And at the end of it, they had soup for everyone to eat.
Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely. And also, I obviously have a British accent to you, but I'm just going to clarify, I'm Australian. And I sound British to some people, and I sound Australian to British people. So you know
what you sound like to me, Viv? You sound like love.
Oh, thank you. Well, I love you, Terri, and I'll see you on the other side.
Yes, ma'am. Bye.
All right. Bye.